A new intelligence clash is unfolding behind the front lines of the Ukraine war. This time, the battlefield is secrecy, and the weapon is information. Ukraine's president claims knowledge of Russia's most sensitive missile deployments. Belarus's intelligence chief has now responded, not with fear, but with ridicule. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky made a striking claim during a visit to Poland. He said Ukrainian intelligence services know where Russia's Oreshnik hypersonic missiles are being deployed, including units stationed in neighboring Belarus. Zelensky added that Kyiv was sharing this intelligence with international partners to assess the threat. The response from Minsk was swift and dismissive. Belarus's counterintelligence chief, Ivan Tertel, rejected the claim outright. Speaking after briefing President Alexander Lukashenko, Tertel described such statements as predictable rhetoric from neighboring political actors. Tertel insisted that the locations of the Oreshnik missile systems remain among the most tightly guarded secrets of the Belarusian state. He said Belarusian citizens could sleep well, assuring that the KGB is actively countering foreign espionage attempts. The Oreshnik missile is no ordinary weapon. Unveiled by Russia last year, it is an intermediate-range hypersonic missile capable of carrying nuclear payloads. Moscow first revealed the system through a strike on a Ukrainian arms facility, a move designed to showcase both speed and precision. Under Russia and Belarus's joint defense arrangements, some Oreshnik units are set to be deployed on Belarusian territory, placing them closer to NATO's eastern flank. The deployment has drawn intense interest from Western and Ukrainian intelligence services. But Tertel went further, warning of what he called transit terrorism. He suggested tactics used by Ukrainian intelligence inside Russia, including sabotage and covert attacks, could eventually be redirected towards Belarus if the conflict expands. Moscow has long accused Kyiv of relying on sabotage due to battlefield setbacks. Russian investigators say many such operations involve recruiting civilians through financial incentives or coercion, a method Belarus now claims is being attempted on its soil. According to Tertel, Belarusian authorities have exposed roughly 70 foreign agents this year alone. Many, he said, have already been prosecuted, evidence, in his words, of an escalating intelligence war running parallel to the fighting in Ukraine. As missiles remain hidden and accusations fly, the confrontation is shifting into darker territory, where secrecy, counterintelligence, and deterrence matter as much as tanks and drones.
Are they going to wage war on us? Are they going to pat us on the head? No, they will launch attacks against us. They will keep launching attacks. We must not allow war. We've already had our fill of this legitimate. In the event of a conflict escalation, armed forces are already designated. Several tens of thousands of personnel in Western Russia who will immediately, as a second echelon, be brought into the military struggle. Belarus will be the first to engage. We must react. Subsequently, the Russian Federation will support us. This is precisely the regional grouping of troops and tactical nuclear weapons that we have returned to Belarus. In addition, the first positions for the Oreshnik missile system have been equipped. It has been with us since yesterday and is now assuming combat duty.
As diplomacy grinds on and peace talks hang in the balance, the war's military dimension is shifting fast. Russia is now moving its newest missile systems closer to NATO's eastern flank. A deployment that Moscow calls routine is being read as a warning across Europe, and it comes at a moment when Ukraine is urgently pressing its allies for financial survival. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko says Russia has placed its newest missile system on combat duty inside Belarus. Speaking Thursday, Lukashenko confirmed that the Oreshnik intermediate-range ballistic missiles arrived a day earlier and are now operational. No details were given on the number of missiles deployed or their exact locations. Earlier this week, Russian President Vladimir Putin has also confirmed that the Oreshnik system is entering combat service this month. The missile was first publicly revealed after a strike on a Ukrainian industrial site late last year. The Oreshnik is a nuclear-capable hypersonic missile system. Russian officials say it carries multiple warheads, travels at speeds of up to Mach 10, and cannot be intercepted by existing air defenses. State media in Russia has claimed the missile could reach targets in Poland within minutes, and NATO headquarters in Brussels shortly after. Moscow has said the system can be armed with either conventional or nuclear warheads, with no way for an adversary to know which before impact. The deployment comes as diplomatic efforts to end the war in Ukraine intensify. President Putin has repeatedly said Russia will not compromise on what it calls its security guarantees or territorial demands. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has warned that the missile's range poses a direct threat beyond Ukraine, reaching deeper into Europe. He has urged Western governments to impose new sanctions on Russian companies involved in the missile's development. At the same time, Ukraine is facing a growing financial squeeze. President Zelensky has traveled to Brussels for a high-stakes European Union summit, pressing leaders to approve a loan backed by frozen Russian assets. He has warned that without the funding, Ukraine faces serious problems sustaining its defense and economy. EU leaders remain divided, with concerns over legal risks, retaliation from Moscow, and how the loan would be structured. Belgium, which hosts the bulk of frozen Russian assets, has pushed for guarantees against legal and economic fallout. European leaders are now weighing two paths: immediate financial support to Kyiv or prolonged uncertainty. Some leaders argue failure to act could embolden Moscow. Others warn that using frozen assets could trigger long-term legal and economic consequences. As discussions continue behind closed doors, Russia's latest military move is already reshaping the strategic landscape.
If come this spring, Ukraine does not receive the necessary financial tranche, which in the event of peace, Ukraine would then be able to fully utilize for the comprehensive reconstruction and the rebuilding of our entire nation. However, should the war unfortunately continue, Ukraine will be compelled to allocate these crucial funds towards addressing its immediate and pressing priorities. First and foremost, it's about drone production. If this financial tranche does not arrive, Ukraine's drone manufacturing will be significantly reduced.
The sensitive issues that we discussed with the United States of America. Yes, Donbass is an unresolved matter. We have differing views.
The nuclear power plant currently occupied by the Russian Federation is not functioning. It's been destroyed, yet it should be operational, generating electricity. It's our plant, our rights. The issue remains unresolved. It's a matter of money.
I fully express my complete perspective to my fellow leaders today.
I firmly believe that concerning reparation loans, this specific matter absolutely must be addressed and resolved in a positive manner, because this particular issue is not solely a question of providing essential financial support to Ukraine throughout the first quarter of the upcoming year, but instead it represents a matter of a fundamentally different and broader character.
We absolutely do not want this particular tool to eventually fall into the hands of the Russians. We strongly oppose this, and we are convinced they will do everything in their power to block it.
There is progress in our dialogue with the American side. Why? Because we've had, in our discussions with America, we've discussed various formats, a number of documents, and I personally believe that in the course of our ongoing dialogue, we have made significant progress.
The question is, this is indeed part of the negotiation process. Afterwards, the United States of America takes our specific points without any changes, and then communicates directly with the Russian side. Therefore, at this moment, I simply do not have any feedback
regarding our most recent progress. I cannot tell you what is currently available or what is not.
But in the very near future, we will certainly make an announcement. And I consider the frequency of our meetings to be a clear indication of progress. For the time being, that is how I interpret this situation.
Perhaps there is more optimism than realism in what I'm saying. But these are the realities that we are living with every single day. We live by the fact that we are constantly fighting for ourselves, and we truly believe that we will eventually succeed.
We are in this war, and the United States, they are the decision makers who can truly stop Putin. And I count on this, but I really count on pressure from the United States. Now, the United States is more mediating. It's true, they mediated between us, but I really wanted them to take many more decisive steps in pressuring Russia, because I truly believe that Putin doesn't want to stop this war, but he certainly can if the United States will apply more pressure, and President Trump, I believe, can. And God willing, I hope he will be successful in this.